Figured I'd open with a shot of the brakes here. Hey, this is Jak Stoll, and I wanted to give an update on the big brake kit that I'm putting together for my car. So in the front here, I'm using these mini 316 millimeter brake rotors. They are like 12 and a half inches in diameter. This is just a bolt-on wheel spacer here. I use it to increase scrub radius for self-steer on the car a little bit and some jacking. Hopefully I can catch this pretty well. But on the back side here, I CAD and cut this bracket. And after a couple of prototypes, I got the caliper placed exactly where I wanted. And in the previous video, like I showed, I had to kind of whittle away a little bit of material from the caliper to move the caliper towards the hub center. What I was going for was to place the pad very carefully at the inside edge of the surface area on the brake rotor, which is very nice. It's like within a millimeter. And then the same on the outboard side, the OD, And, the pad does stick up a little bit past the rotor, but it's not horrible. So there's like a little bit more pad than I have surface area on the rotor, which doesn't bother me terribly. I actually had these lines laying around. They're actually from a Saab. I worked on them a little bit and kind of made them fit, and we'll see how that goes. On the back of the car, I've fit these VW Corrado brake rotors, and initially I was going to go with an E90 brake caliper, but for one, they're like horribly heavy, and the second thing with it was that the bracket on the back placed the mounting bolts further towards the hub center considerably than the tabs that I have on the trailing arms here that I built. So I'm actually going to use something more like this. In fact, they are a 350Z Brembo caliper, and they'll match these. It'll be these knockoff calipers. They'll be silver in color, aluminum. And the nice thing about these calipers is that, like this Willwood caliper that I took off the front, the mounting bolts are pretty far towards the outer diameter, like away from the hub. That means I can make a bracket similar to this that will go between the caliper mounting bolts and the tabs that I have on the back of the car. So that's all coming together pretty nicely. I haven't really gone over the trailing arm stuff on the back of this car. I built these trailing arms. This is like the second set that I ever built. I built a prototype set before these. I know all the welding doesn't look great. I've definitely had trouble with my welder off and on, but I designed and built these trailing arms for this car, and they use a 3/4 inch Heim joint where it attaches to the subframe. And I actually drew these misalignment spacers up in CAD and had a friend turn them off on his CNC lathe. I use a double adjuster on the outboard side in order to adjust the toe on the car. So this is like a telescoping double adjuster that I have here. And that all works really well. The axles I also built. They are 28 spline, like a Porsche 930 CV with a chromoly 28 spline bar. And the outer bit that comes through the hub is actually a drive shaft shop part. And then the differential output flange is also a drive shaft shop part that brings the small shaft diameter up to the 108 millimeter CV diameter. The reason I have these aluminum blocks stuffed into the rear calipers is because I was checking pedal feel. I have a E32 brake master cylinder in the car, which is like 25 millimeters, and the pedal's great, even with the much larger pistons in the front. And you know, when you put brand new pads on a brand new rotor, the brakes are a little spongy until everything seats in, but it actually felt good right off the rip. So I'm pretty happy about that. On this side, you can see kind of like what the brakes look like inside the wheel. They definitely fill the wheel up more than the last ones did. So I'm pretty stoked on that. But yeah, so kind of getting stuff done during the off season here when it's not drift season, and hoping to have the car working better for next season. And just, if I haven't said this before, a lot of the reason for this brake system upgrade was primarily to increase my rear braking for my hydro. You know, these E30 calipers are like so tiny, like the pistons are so small in them that that it required a lot of effort. You know, even with a 5/8 diameter hydro master cylinder, it required a lot of effort, and they didn't want to lock up in a straight line, you know. So having like a 2-piston fixed caliper in the back and larger pads, you know, that'll take up this whole area, will give me increased rear stopping. And if I just did that, increase the rear brake size, like made them the same as the fronts, you know, I would have pretty heavy rear brake bias. And yes, I could put in a bias valve before the hydro, and that would give me full pressure at the back and reduced from the pedal. But I thought it was a good time to upgrade the fronts as well. So I guess that's about all I got for today. I wish everybody the best. Merry Christmas, and I guess that's about that. Take it easy.